This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The Palestinian Islamic Jihad vowed today to carry out further suicide attacks to avenge the killing of 6 Palestinians, including 2 of their leaders, by Israeli troops on Sunday during clashes in the northern West Bank. Meanwhile, President Mahmoud Abbas, currently on a visit to Russia, urged in a pre-recorded televised address to mark the catastrophe of Israel's creation in 1948, Hamas to be pragmatic and embrace existing Middle East peace deals.
The Palestinian Islamic Jihad vowed today to carry out further suicide attacks to avenge the killing of 6 Palestinians, including 2 of its leaders, by Israeli troops. Its armed wing, the Al-Quds Brigade, said in a statement that the crimes of the occupation would make them stronger and not weaken the resolve of their fighters. The Abu Rish Brigades and the Al-Aqsa Marchers Brigades, 2 arms offshoots of the former ruling Fatah Party, said they had fired rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israel to protest against yesterday's killings in the West Bank. An Israeli army spokesman said 3 rockets exploded overnight, but that there were no reports of any damage or casualties. 5 Palestinians, including the 2 jihad leaders, were shot dead by Israeli troops during clashes in the northern West Bank town of Qabatiyya yesterday. A security guard outside the local Palestinian Authority intelligence headquarters in the nearby city of Jenin was also shot dead by Israeli troops. Meanwhile, Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas is expected to meet President Vladimir Putin at the Black Sea resort of Sochi today in a quest to bolster Russian support for the deeply isolated Palestinian Authority. Russia has emerged as one of the Palestinian Authority's key supporters since the Islamist group Hamas swept parliamentary elections there in January, sparking international outcry. Abbas hopes to reinforce those links in a bid to rescue his government from bankruptcy and diplomatic isolation. Abbas urged Hamas to renounce violence and respect peace deals, while also warning Israel that taking a unilateral approach to peacemaking would fuel extremism. In a speech to mark the anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel, the Palestinians call a Nakba, or the Great Catastrophe, Abbas urged the Islamist movement Hamas to be pragmatic and embrace existing Middle East peace deals.
Israel continues to push forward with its unilateral plan with the Palestinians, a plan that will kill the right of return to millions of Palestinian refugees. This news comes as Palestinians are commemorating the 58th anniversary of a Nakba, or the catastrophe.
The older Palestinians will eventually die, and the younger ones will forget. These were the words of a senior Israeli leader 58 years ago. 58 years have passed since the Palestinian Nakba, which has displaced millions of Palestinians. However, Palestinian refugees did not give up hope that one day they will return to their homes. Parents and grandparents have taught their children and grandchildren many tales about their beloved towns in the aftermath of the War of 1948. They often talked about their fields and olive trees and their town mosques, streets, and valleys.
I was born in the Am'ari refugee camp. However, my parents and grandparents described the town they were forced to leave in 1948. These memories will live forever, and we will not forget our homes.
Whatever Israel does, it will not make us forget our homes and towns. At the end, we will return home.
Palestinian refugees commemorate the Nakba with the hope that they will return to Haifa, Akka, and Jaffa. Many years have passed since Palestinians have embarked on this exhausting journey of forceful displacement and diaspora. Many Palestinian refugees that lived through the Nakba have endured many years of pain and suffering.
قبل ثنايا الوجه بهذه العجوز.
3 أيام وإحنا نمشي بالطريق.
During the Nakba, we walked for 3 days. One of my sisters-in-law gave birth on the road. We saw scattered bodies on both sides of the road. We did not see people walking for 3 days. We were hungry and thirsty, but we finally met a man who showed us the way to the town of Nahalin.
I wish I can go back to my home and die there. I want to pick my olive trees. When we attempted to visit our fields, the Jews opened fire on us. We realized that we can't go and live in our town. My father has a lot of land there.
غير أن حنين العودة الذي ظل يعتصم.
While Palestinians commemorate the 58th anniversary of Al-Nakba, hoping that one day they will return home, Israel celebrates Independence Day. Israel continues to force Palestinians out of their homes and lands. It builds the separation wall in an attempt to isolate the Palestinians and drive them out of their homes, forcing them yet into another diaspora. Tel Aviv wants to unilaterally redraw its borders with the Palestinians and drive Palestinians out of Jerusalem. With this unilateral plan, Jerusalem will kill Palestinians' right of return and the establishment of a future Palestinian state. Palestinian refugees will be kept in the shadow, reflecting and dreaming of the past. Amidst a state of hope and despair, Palestinians commemorate the 58th anniversary of Nakba. Since then, they have been living under the Israeli occupation, which does not value justice and human rights. Israel continues its aggressive campaign of killing in the Palestinian territories in the name of security and survival.
قناة أبو ظبي مخيم الأمعري.
The 78-year-old Mohammed Khilda from the town of Al-Nakhla and Khalil Mustafa Nakhla from Beit Nabala are a testimony to the Palestinian commitment to hold on to their right of return to the homes they lost in the Nakba.
ولد محمد خليل عام 28 في قرية خلدة.
Muhammad Khalil was born in 1928 in the town of Khilda, which is now known as the Israeli city of Ramallah. The city is adjacent to a large Israeli military base and an international airport. Muhammad was 20 when he was forced to leave his village. Despite the length of time that has passed, Muhammad vividly remembers his place of birth and the simple village life he led. He also told us about the farmland that his family passed on father to son for many generations. In 1948, Muhammad went to the hills of western Beit Lahem, but he refused to live in refugee camps. Instead, he lived in a cave until this day, with the hope that one day he will be able to return to his hometown of Khilda.
This land is entrusted to me. My conscience won't allow me to leave this land. I will live here until I die in this land. This would be better and more honorable for me. My father died here.
In Muhammad's eyes, living in a refugee camp or even building a home outside his original hometown is accepting defeat. He refuses to do that and holds onto the hope to return to his home. Like many Palestinian refugees, Muhammad still holds onto the keys to his old home.
This keys to my home in Khalda. We should never give up on God's mercy. We and our sons should never give up hope to go back even after 200 years.
زوجة محمد وأبناؤه تقبلوا حاجته للعيش في الكهف.
Muhammad's wife and sons accepted his need to live in the cave because of what it means to him and because it brings him closer to his homeland. However, they decided to move to the Haisha refugee camp in the suburbs of Bethlehem a long time ago. The refugee camp was built in 1949 and now it has more than 1,200 homes. Sometimes Muhammad visits the camp and spends the night on special occasions like a wedding party. But overall, Muhammad prefers to stay in his cave and a small garden.
If the situation calls for it, I may spend 1 or 2 nights in the Dheisha refugee camp. Sometimes I have to attend social obligations like weddings, but I prefer to spend all my time here. I feel that this place is more comfortable for me to live in.
Just like Muhammad, Khalil Mustafa Nakhlan, who lives in the Jalazon refugee camp near Ramallah, also remembers his home in the town of Bet Nabala. Khalil was forced to leave his home when he was 24 years old with his 2 children. Just like Muhammad, he too has the key to the front door of his old home.
My life before I was forced to migrate was 1,000 times better than life in a refugee camp. I used to have 400 dunams of land and 500 olive trees. I used to produce 50 barrels of olive oil. I had a good life. Nothing is as dear to us as the Kaaba in Mecca and Jerusalem. I would never stay anywhere else but in Bet Nabala.
يعني تشتري لي في هذول البلدين ما تقبلش كيف ببيت نبالة ما تقبلين.
ويظل الخامس عشر من مايو أسوأ يوم.
The May 14th of 1948 is the worst day in the history of the Palestinian people, who continue to be subjected to new catastrophes every day at the hands of the Israeli occupation forces.
Sharp reactions among lawmakers today over yesterday's Supreme Court decision. IBA's Dan Diker reports that many MKs refused to issue reactions on camera due to the sensitivity of the issue.
It proves that the state is a democratic towards Jews and is Jewish towards Arabs. The court yesterday stabbed the Arab minority in the back. They inserted a discrimination wall inside the Arab family in Israel.
What will happen if there would be a conflict between a democratic and a Jewish state?
What does happen?
Who would decide upon? Only the Knesset. It's up to the Knesset, only to the Knesset, because we were elected by the people of Israel and we are representing them between election and election. Of course, the High Court have to criticize us, to watch us, to see that we are not going beyond the lines that were given to us and the authorities that were given to us by the people of Israel. Not more than that.
Palestinians today marked their Nakba, or catastrophe day, the commemoration of the 58th anniversary of the creation of Israel. Palestinian parliament members held a special session to observe the day with a minute of silence, while demonstrations took place across the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. IBA's Jonathan Elkins has more.
There were marches throughout the West Bank and Gaza today to mark Al-Nakba, a day of mourning for the Palestinians held on the anniversary of the creation of the State of Israel. In an act reminiscent of Israel's Memorial Day, Palestinians sounded a 1-minute siren at noon to signify the somber mood of the day, 58 years since Israel's independence. In Gaza City, protesters waved flags and banners and marched in remembrance, while in the Jabalia refugee camp, Palestinians marked the day by painting murals on walls and writing colorful graffiti condemning the Jewish state. Palestinian Chairman Mahmoud Abbas also gave a pre-recorded address to commemorate the day. In it, he called for Israel to return to the negotiating table. Directly addressing the Israeli people, Abbas said that the Palestinians want a just and lasting peace so that both Israeli and Palestinian children can have a better future. Let's stop the pretext that there's no Palestinian partner, said Abbas. The partner exists, and we extend our hand to you to make peace, a peace that we can achieve through negotiations. The Palestinian leader also signaled that Hamas must change its ways and pursue a path of diplomacy.
Joining us now to discuss Nakba Day is Haifa University Arab Affairs expert Wadia Abu Nasser. Wadia, thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Wadia, I understand that Nakba means catastrophe in Arabic and refers to the creation of the State of Israel. Is that how the existence of Israel is still viewed by most Israeli Arabs today?
Well, we should not forget that most Israeli Arabs are both Israeli citizens on one hand, who are somehow interested in continue living where they are, but they are Palestinians by nationality on the other hand. So therefore, it is not easy addressing a Palestinian Israeli or Israeli Arab, call it as you wish, in this day, which is not very easy because the state was established on the remedies, if you wish, of the Palestinian nation. Although that most Israeli Palestinian citizens nowadays are looking at their citizenship as something that they want to preserve.
Wadia, yesterday's High Court ruling preventing so-called family reunification of Israeli Arabs and West Bank Palestinian Arabs has been widely condemned by the local Arab leadership. Could there be a legitimate demographic issue here?
Well, I believe that there is a serious problem by looking at the Palestinians and the Arabs in general as demographic problem for Israel, because I believe that foreign workers, if we are looking at demographic problems, foreign workers might become a real demographic problem more than the entire Arabs. We are seeing waves of newcomers who were imported to the country, whose Judaism is under a lot of question marks. Again, I believe that this negative approach based on race is quite problematic. It is difficult to justify it, although that 6 out of 11, we should not remember that there was substantial or significant minority amongst the courts of the Supreme Court of Israel yesterday advocating that the law is problematic.
قال الجيش الأمريكي أنه قتل 41 مسلحا في بغداد.
The U.S. Army confirmed that it killed nearly 41 armed men in Baghdad. Meanwhile, the Iraqi security forces confirmed that they killed 30 gunmen in various parts of the country. In another development, the ousted Iraqi president Saddam Hussein did not enter a plea in the Judeo case.
حول قضية الدجل.
The presiding judge in the trial of the ousted Iraqi President Saddam Hussein and 7 co-defendants adjourned the court until next Tuesday. For the first time in the trial, the judge read all the charges, including murder, arrest, and torture of Iraqis against the defendants. The judge asked the defendants to enter a plea.
How do you plead? Are you guilty or not?
Your Honor, you are addressing Saddam Hussein, the President of the Republic of Iraq.
Are you guilty or not? How do you plead?
I am the President of the Republic of Iraq. I was elected by the Iraqi people, and I am still the President.
Meanwhile, violence and bloodshed continue to sweep through the streets of Iraq. Nearly 30 Iraqis, including 6 Iraqi police officers in Basra, were killed in various parts of the country. The police officers were killed by members of an Iraqi tribe whose leader was assassinated by gunmen wearing police uniforms. Moreover, 4 Iraqi teachers were killed as their vehicle came under gunfire by a number of armed assailants east of Baghdad.
2 of the victims were brothers, and a third was their cousin. The victims were on their way to work when their vehicle came under attack, killing 4 teachers.
6 Iraqis, including 2 women, were killed by armed assailants in the city of Mosul. In addition, 2 Iraqi soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb explosion on the Samara Bridge. A roadside bomb targeting Iraqi police headquarters exploded in the area of Al-Iskandariya, south of Baghdad, killing an Iraqi civilian. 7 bodies were also found south of Baghdad. According to the American forces, 2 U.S. soldiers were killed after their helicopter was shot down by unknown armed fighters south of Baghdad. Meanwhile, the American army confirmed that it has killed more than 40 alleged armed terrorists in the area of Al-Yusufiyya, south of Baghdad. In another development, the Iraqi president confirmed that he will announce the formation of the government after having reached a decision regarding the ministries of defense and interior.
The office of the president does not favor putting off the formation of important ministries such as the defense and the interior. We cannot announce the formation of the new government until we complete structuring all the ministries, especially those related to the defense and the interior, which must be led by independent officials.
Talabani's comments came after he met with his two vice presidents, Tariq al-Hashmi and Adel Abed al-Mahdi, who confirmed that there were no substantial problems that could prevent the formation of the new government. Mr. al-Mahdi refuted reports that the Iraqi Accordance Front and the National Alliance Party are indifferent to the formation of the government, describing these reports as rumors and newspaper talk only.
A number of religious clerics and officials of Basra city expressed their dismay and rejection of the chaos that the city witnessed in the last 2 days. Sheikh Muhammad Falak, the spokesperson for the spiritual leader Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, expressed his disappointment with what became of the security situation in Basra, urging at the same time calm and restraint until the Iraqi authorities find a solution to the problems Basra is facing. Sheikh Muhammad Falak, the spokesperson for the High Religious Council in Zubair, expressed his dismay at what became of the security situation in Basra recently. In a press conference at the Religious Council headquarters in Zubair, Falak said that the spiritual leader Ali al-Sistani is working to ensure that security and stability are maintained in Iraqi society.
There are random killings of Sunnis and Shiites alike in Basra. We're not, however, pointing the finger at anyone or any faction in particular.
أنه نذكر أحد بعينه أو حزب بعينه أو حركة بعينها.
كما أوضح الشيخ محمد فلك أن البصرة.
Sheikh Muhammad Falak explained that Basra is not free of security gaps, which were responsible for the latest criminal attack on worshippers. The attack prompted the Religious Council to close down Sunni and Shiite mosques for 3 days.
المساجد والحسينيات 3 أيام.
آخر ما حصل في مدينة البصرة هو الاعتداء. The
latest terrorist attack in Basra by the criminal Gila group killed Sheikh Khaled al-Sadoun, who was one of our brothers in the Islamic Party, along with 2 worshippers. This attack generated strong reactions and condemnation in Basra. We examined the bodies of the victims who were killed and were shocked and disappointed by this horrible crime.
نحن عاينا جثث الضحايا ومضينا إلى الإخوة وشجبنا واستنكرنا هذا الأمر.
الاستفادة من تجارب الآخرين يعد من الأمور المهمة في
Learning from other people's experiences is important in the effort to build a new Iraq until all internal problems are solved.
البصرة.
The U.S. decision to provide Turkey with missiles at this time is raising questions in Turkish political circles. Some expressed concern that the arms deal may be linked to the issue raised by Washington against the Iranian nuclear program and its threats to use force if necessary.
Washington approved the Turkish government's request to supply it with air-to-ground SLAM-ER missiles, which are launched by F-16 aircraft and can strike their targets with exact precision due to their highly advanced technology. From the point of view of the main opposition Republican People's Party, this points to a secret deal connected to the development in the Iranian nuclear file, particularly since the U.S. Congress had refused to supply Ankara with less technologically advanced weapons.
Washington's objective from this arms deal is to obtain Turkey's support against Iran in the future if needed. The Turkish Secretary of National Security has made a similar request in the past, but the U.S. paid no attention.
Members of the ruling Justice and Development Party considered the arms deal necessary for their plan to expand the Turkish army, despite the concerns about U.S. aggressive intentions toward Iran.
I don't think this deal is happening because of these threats. It is to strengthen our defense army.
The deal is fulfilling the need of our armed forces, who are working to advance their technological capabilities. It has no relation to the Iranian nuclear file. Turkey has to stay strong.
وإذا كان من الممكن القبول بمبررات حصول تركيا على تلك الصفقة في إطار اتفاقية
If Turkey's explanations for acquiring weapons are to be accepted in the framework of the strategic cooperation between the two countries, it's difficult not to see the connection with the developments happening in the Iranian nuclear file, especially if read in light of statements made by the U.S. Chief of Staff during his latest visit to Ankara. The U.S. Chief of Staff indicated that Turkey should make its position clear with regard to Iran's nuclear program after the U.S. showed its good intentions by approving the arms deal. Washington's agreeing to supply Ankara with technologically advanced missiles suggests that it may need logistical support from Turkey should it decide to launch a military offensive on the Islamic Republic of Iran.
على خلفية تطورات الملف النووي الإيراني. صالح علام، العالم، أنقرة.
In a feminist attempt at giving women an opportunity for greater freedom when shopping, a women-only shopping center was established that includes women's clothing. In the Mafraq city, this market only employs women.
سوق حواء التجاري انثوي الطابع.
The Eve commercial market is a women's shopping center. Men are prohibited from entering. All of the employees and the shoppers are women only. The market has 10 stores that include everything that a woman needs, including home cleaning products, flowers, and gifts. According to the founders, the market aims to encourage women to be productive and be an active member of society. The market for women caters to all women's needs in a private and comfortable atmosphere.
مريحة وآمنة.
It's a shopping market specifically for women. The shoppers and employees are women. It's not something against men or a threat to men. On the contrary, if it weren't for men and their efforts, we couldn't have done this. However, since we live in a conservative society, we'd like to give women a special private atmosphere so that they can buy all items that are personal to them.
The Eve market has evoked the interest of women and has enabled them to enjoy public life without any traditional male constraints. Women found the market a women's island sanctuary in an ocean of male domination.
When we first heard about this idea, we were very encouraged because, as women, we like our privacy. We were encouraged by this idea.
I was impressed by the idea of a market that is only for women, especially since I'm a university graduate and could not find any employment. I was impressed by the idea, and with the encouragement from my family and friends, I decided to do something, so I opened this store.
The market has gained widespread acceptance. Women especially are happy about this idea.
If a husband insists on accompanying his wife while shopping, he can read newspapers and magazines or strike up conversations with other males in a waiting area outside the market until his wife has finished shopping. This is to guarantee complete isolation for the female shoppers. There is also an area for children to enjoy electronic games.
The women are very comfortable here because they usually go shopping at the end of the month, when it is crowded. Here they can relax and feel free about what they are buying. There are always a lot of young men that crowd the markets.
What is funny is that the Eve market has been a place where mothers go shopping looking for a conservative bride for their sons.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin. This program is brought to you by Link TV, for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.